Hey, what's up everybody? Clifton here with CliftonWP. Welcome to the channel. In this tutorial, we're going to be learning how to create an e-commerce website, and we're going to be using the free version of the Kadence theme, and we're going to be using Kadence Gutenberg blocks as well. This is going to be a WordPress website, and we're going to be merging it with WooCommerce and basically creating a great e-commerce website. And you can use this for your business or even for a client. Okay, so if you guys are ready to learn some cool tips and tricks when you're creating an e-commerce website using Kadence and WordPress and WooCommerce, then let's go ahead and jump right into the tutorial. So let's go over what it is that we're going to be building. This is an e-commerce website, completely custom, built from scratch. This is not built from a template and actually doesn't exist anywhere. One of the things that's going to be great about this tutorial is that all the images that I used to build this or that I created to build this are going to be linked in the description below. So feel free to download those. They are completely free, and you're more than welcome to use them to follow along or use them in your own projects if you like. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're building right here. So this is using the free version of Kadence, and we're going to build a website that looks just like this. So you can have a section here where you can have your logo. I'm just using some text. You have your navigation here with the categories of products, and then there's an icon here for the cart. And then we have this beautiful featured area right here with a model on the right and an offering on the left. And as you scroll through, you'll notice that we have this benefits section, this 4-column benefits section right here. And then below that, we have these images with some text overlaying the images that all link to the different categories of products. And then we'll feature some of the popular products on the front end of the website. And then we'll have this standout area right here where people can click through and see more of those products as they scroll through. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the website, we have a beautiful opt-in section right here offering an additional 25% off for joining the email list. And then it rounds out with the footer, with a fat footer, which we're going to learn how to create as well in this tutorial. One of the things that you'll notice about this tutorial is as you move through the different pages, we have a beautiful category area where we can show the categories of products that we have. And then if you drill down into each product, we have just a nice simple layout for each product. We have a beautiful image on the left, and then the product details on the right. And then we're going to talk about how we created this section right here and have this guaranteed safe checkout trust factor right here as well. And then the descriptions and related products. So you're going to learn how to build all these things and how to style it really nicely. Everything here is just nice, clean, and completely usable if you ever wanted to use this as an actual e-commerce store. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into building out our website. Before we do that though, I do want to say, hey, if you are new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can get notified when I release other tutorials that are just like this one. We really focus a lot on Gutenberg and WordPress and the Kadence theme here, but we also focus on other tools and plugins that also can benefit you in your WordPress journey. So I would really love it if you subscribe to the channel and you stay tuned, and feel free to leave a comment and ask me any questions that you want about Kadence, WordPress, or any other tool that you're working on. I would love to hear from you. Let's go ahead and dive right into the tutorial. Okay, so to get started, we have a fresh install of WordPress here. And so there is nothing in this site other than the default theme. And if we go to plugins, we don't even have any plugins installed. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to install the theme that we want to use, which is the Kadence theme. We're going to install the free version. And then we're also going to install Kadence blocks. And then we will install the WooCommerce free plugin, which is the e-commerce plugin of choice for us to build out our e-commerce website. So let's go ahead and get started with that right now. So I'm going to go to Appearance, go to Themes, and we're going to click on Add New. Then you can do a search for Kadence. All right, it should come up right away. There's a Kadence theme right here. I'm going to click on Install, and I'm going to click on Activate. And now this is activated. I no longer need this default theme, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that so that I have a clean install here of Kadence. Then I'm going to install the plugin. So we're going to go to Plugins, Add New, and the first one we're going to install is the Kadence Blocks plugin, which is the Gutenberg Blocks page builder from Kadence. So we're going to go ahead and install that. It's this one right here. Click on Activate. and that is now installed for us to be able to use. Now, Kadence does have a lot of starter templates, and a few of them are e-commerce templates, but we're not going to be using any of these. In this specific tutorial, I really want to teach you how to build everything from scratch. And then later on, if you ever want to use a template, then you will be able to extend that template very well, knowing some of the principles and core concepts behind building an e-commerce website. So for now, we're just going to ignore the Kadence starter templates and just work with the default. So if I look at the website right now, you can see that everything here is just pretty much the default. So now just a few key, housekeeping items really quickly. First, we're going to go to our settings, and let's just make sure that our permalinks are set up correctly. So right now you can kind of see this is not set up correctly. I really want the post name setting for my permalinks so that everything is nice and clean. I'm going to go ahead and save my changes there. And then just make sure that in the general tab that you have your site title in place and you have your tagline. So we just call this a fashion site. And then I want to set my time zone to an actual time zone, which is Los Angeles Pacific time. And then I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay, so now that that's done, then I'm going to go to the post here, all posts, and I'm going to delete all this default content. So I don't want any of this content here. So let's go ahead and just move that to the trash. And I'm going to empty the trash. And then if we go to pages, all pages, here's some default content here as well. I'm going to delete this sample page. I'm going to leave the privacy policy in place. I may need that later. Okay. All right. So now I know that I have a completely clean install here. Now the next thing that I want to do, so I have my theme in place, right? So we have the Kadence theme. And as far as plugins go, I only have the Kadence Blocks plugin. So now we need an e-commerce plugin, which is WooCommerce. Now, WooCommerce is a free plugin. It's been around for many years, and is what majority of the websites that have e-commerce websites in WordPress use to run their e-commerce. So to install WooCommerce on your site, just go ahead and click on Add New under the Plugins tab. Then we're going to search for WooCommerce. And here is the WooCommerce e-commerce solution. I'm going to click on Install Now. Now, when you install WooCommerce for the first time, it is going to run you through this wizard so that you can go ahead and set up the plugin. You can go ahead and skip that if you want to, but for the benefit of the people who may be seeing this for the first time, or maybe not very familiar with WooCommerce, we're going to actually go through the wizard, and then we'll get into the more deeper details for WooCommerce a little bit later. So for now, this is a fictional e-commerce company, so we're just going to use some fictional information for our address. Okay, the country is going to be the United States. Okay, our city will be, let's make the city San Francisco. And I'm going to choose not to get product updates because this is just not a real, it's not a real thing. So, and we're going to say no thanks to the tracking. The e-commerce website is a fashion and apparel website, and we only want physical products. We're not doing downloads or subscriptions or any of these other things. So just leave this the way that it is. Continue. How many products? I don't know yet. And currently selling elsewhere is no, and continue. So here are, in this part of the wizard here are some free features that WooCommerce offers. I typically don't select any of these things. I like to install each thing myself as I need it to prevent any bloat in my site. So we can always install any of these later. So I'm just going to uncheck that. So I don't want any of these installed, and go ahead and click continue. Then it's going to ask you to choose a theme. We already have our theme in place, so I'm just going to click on continue with my active theme. And that's it for installing WooCommerce. So right here is what we call WooCommerce HQ, and you can see you can always get to all those different areas where they were asking us to make some selections. Okay, so, and you can always find this under the WooCommerce tab, which is right here. Now, one thing I want to point out, when you install WooCommerce, you're going to get this section right here under the WooCommerce, which is more about the settings for running your e-commerce store. But there are 3 additional links that show up in your admin. One is the products. This is where you create the products that you're going to be selling. Analytics is basically your reporting on what happens when people buy, and your stock management, taxes and coupons and things like that. This is the analytics for all those items. And then marketing, where you basically can take a look at coupons and anything that you're doing from a marketing perspective. So those are the only things that are added on once you've installed WooCommerce. But once you've done this, now you're technically ready to go ahead and start building out your store. So if we go to the front front end of the website right now, you'll see something like this. So the first thing we want to do though is we want to create our home page so that we can assign that home page to the front end of the website, and then we're ready to start creating our products. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the dashboard here. I'm going to go to pages and click on add new, and we're going to create our home page. So we'll just call this home. And for now, all we're going to do is set up the page. So it's home, and then on the right here, we're going to disable the page title. We're going to set this to full width. The content style will be unboxed, and the content vertical padding will be disabled. Because we're going to be building this with Gutenberg blocks, specifically Kadence blocks, we want it to be set up for page building experience. And these are the settings that I use to be able to do that. Once that's done, go ahead and click on publish. And then we have one more step, which is to set this page as the home page. So I'm going to go ahead and get back to my dashboard. I'm going to go to settings, go to reading, and then right here where it says a static page, your home page displays, click on a static page, and we want to select that home page we just created. Click on save changes, and when you go to the front end of the website, you now will have this blank canvas to go ahead and start building out your home page. But we're not going to do that yet. So one of the strategies I like to use to build out e-commerce websites, and most websites that we build, is we build it from the inside out, meaning you have to populate your content first and then build your design around your content. So in the next step here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start adding our products and the content for those products to the website, so we can actually have a shop and product categories and so on. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that right now. So we're going to go back to the dashboard, and in our newly installed WooCommerce sections here, we're going to go ahead and go to products. Now I have 4 types of products that I want to create. And the first thing I'm going to do before I start creating those products is I'm going to create the categories for those products so that I can go ahead and place those products in those categories. So I'm going to come here to products, go to categories. And the first default category that you're always going to get in WooCommerce or even in WordPress a lot of times is the uncategorized. This is just a default. So I'm going to use this one, but I'm just going to rename it, and we're going to call this one new arrivals. Okay, this way any default products that we add automatically go into this category. Let's go ahead and update that. And then now I'm going to go back to the categories and add the actual categories that I want. So the first one is going to be called watches, and the second category will be t-shirts. Third category will be handbags, and the fourth one will be shoes. Okay, so now that the categories are created, I can then proceed to start creating my products. So I'm going to go here to the product section of the admin, and I'm going to click on add new, and let's create our first product. So this is the product creation section in WooCommerce here. So if you notice, this isn't Gutenberg activated. There are some times or some plugins that will allow you to make this into a Gutenberg one, but we're just using this plain vanilla as it is right now. So I'm going to be creating a watch product. So I'm going to go here to my product categories and select watches. Then I'm going to name my product. So let's call this product black and gold watch. Okay, very simple. And then here is where you would put that product description. So I'm just going to grab some dummy text from the Lorem Ipsum website. So this is just a placeholder text for now, and we're going to put that in there. Then as you scroll down, you'll get to the product data section. This is where you're going to put in the details about your product. So the pricing, any sale pricing, any inventory, the shipping, things like that. So this is just going to be a simple product, meaning it's just a product. There are no variations on this product, meaning there's no large size or medium or so on. It's just a straight product. Here under product data, there are different types of product that you can set up in WooCommerce. You can set up a group product or affiliate product or variable product. We're only doing a simple product for this specific tutorial. So simple product, the price, I'm just going to put an arbitrary price here. So let's just say $125 for this watch. Okay. For the shipping here, one of the things that WooCommerce requires is that in your shipping, you need to have the sizing of it, the weight, the length, the width, and the height, so that if you integrate this with some kind of shipping provider, this information will be very helpful in terms of determining the pricing. So just for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to make up some dimensions, right? So we just want to make sure that you always have this filled out if you're going to be creating shipping physical products. And that's really all I need to do here, just the pricing and the shipping here. Then in the product short description, I'm just going to repeat the description here, but maybe make it shorter. Okay. And then the only thing that we need now is an image for our watch. So I'm going to come over here, click on set product image, select files, and inside of my folder here for this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and grab a watch. Okay, so here's our watch. So now I've now set that as the product image. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and publish this. And we can go ahead and take a look at our product on the front end. Just click on view product. And this is the product page from Kadence. So you can see it's actually, even though we're using the default version of Kadence, meaning we haven't done any styling or designing or anything like that, this is just a default install, it's still a very presentable product page. So you have your image here and it magnifies when you hover over it. You have the image title, the pricing, the description. You have the quantity and the add to cart buttons already there. And the description is right here below, and then additional information is also over here as well. So this is a very, very simple, straightforward product page. And if you were selling products right now and you wanted to create a simple e-commerce website, this would actually be enough. All you need to do now is just connect your payment gateway and do the rest of the setup, which we'll cover in a little bit here, and you are ready to go. Okay, but we are actually going to style this because there are additional options that are available, and we're going to explore those additional options with the free version of Kadence, and we're going to go as far as we can with the free version. Once we've done that, then I'm going to go ahead and install the pro version of the Kadence theme and Kadence blocks, and you'll see some of the options that are available to you there. So let's take a look at some of the options that are available for you to customize your products using the Kadence theme. Okay, so this is the products page that comes with Kadence, and already this is a very nice and clean products page. It has everything that you need. So the product is there on the left, and you have all the information here on the right and a add to cart button. So then the descriptions are down there below it. So everything that you need is here, and it presents in a very clean way. So this is great, but there are some additional elements that can be added to this to make it even much nicer and much more dynamic. So let's take a look at that. So to customize the product page, you'll need to go to customize, and then scroll down here to the WooCommerce section, click that. And here you'll notice all the customization capabilities, or all the things that you can customize with the free version of Kadence, of the Kadence theme. All right, so there's a store notice where you can put a notice about your store if you have something that you want to announce. And then we have the product catalog, single product layouts, product images, checkout, and the My Account layout. The one we're interested in is the single product layout. So go ahead and click on that. And here's where you can make some changes. You can make design changes if you want. So if you want to change any of the colors or fonts, you can go ahead and do that here. We're doing it globally, so we won't be doing anything in here. The general area is where we're really going to be doing some work. So here's where you can make some choices. You can choose to have an extra title area, right? So if I wanted to have the title at the very top, I could do that. Or you can choose not to. You can choose to have breadcrumbs instead, which is what I think it's better actually, because it helps with navigation. Or you can choose to have nothing at all. It's entirely up to you. I like to have the breadcrumbs. You can choose your product layout. So we can either have this be the normal layout, or you can have it be narrow like that. You can have it be completely full width, or if you have a sidebar, you could include a sidebar by selecting one of these, left or right. We're going to keep that at the normal one because that presents the best for this specific website. Then as you scroll down, we have the content style, and we have the option of having it be boxed like so, right? So this is the boxed version of it, and this actually looks nice as well. Or you can have it be unboxed, which is what I prefer. Just kind of gives it a much more open feel. You can choose to have your content vertical padding enabled or disabled, but where we're really interested here is going to be the product elements. So this is kind of what separates Kadence from some of the others that are out there that support e-commerce. So here you have the option to turn on and off elements on the product page, but you can also add elements as well. And to turn it off, all you need to do is just click on the eyeball here, and it will turn off whatever element. So I just turned off the titles, and it does it across the board for all your products. Of course, we don't want to turn off our titles. We want to have a title for our products. But if you look further down in some of these options here, one of the ones that you'll see is actually two items that you'll see. There's the extras and the payments. If you turn on the extras, then you get a chance to add additional information, which is right over here, to your products, right? So, and it's always best to kind of have more generalized information, right? So some people, if you're selling just one product and maybe you want to talk about the workmanship, right? So you might want to say your first feature here, maybe you might say excellent workmanship. Okay. And that would work obviously for a watch. However, it may not work for a t-shirt and so on. So you want to make sure that you have something that's applicable across the board for all your products. And that's why having something like satisfaction guaranteed is great. Of course, you can put anything in here that you want. Over here where it says free shipping on orders over $100, you can change that text. You can make it $50 or $40 or $50 if you want, or you can change the entire text entirely. So you might say get a free gift or something like that, right? So it's entirely up to you. I prefer to have some kind of benefit highlighted there. It's entirely up to you. And you get the opportunity. So there's 4 items here. You can have as little as 3 or as many as 5, right? So they allow for even a 5th feature. So if I wanted to add an extra feature here like easy returns and refunds or something like that, right? So you can put that there as well if you wanted to. And then you can also change the icon that's next to it. So by adding that already, this page is a lot more informative and it's a lot more dynamic. Okay. The other thing that you can add is a trust factor in terms of the payments, right? So the kind of payments that you accept. If I turn this on, if I toggle this on, then there is a payment badge and a guaranteed safe checkout. So this is improving the trust factor of your product page, and it shows all the credit cards that you accept. Right? And you can configure this further if you want to. So if you want this to be a grayed out version of it, right? So that looks pretty good like that. And then you can also choose the items that you want to highlight. So if you want to show the Visa, MasterCard, or Amex and so on, or you want to toggle those off, you can. So say for instance, I don't accept PayPal, then I can toggle off PayPal and PayPal won't be there, right? And also you can add up to, I believe up to 5 other custom icons as well, right? So if you have images that you're using, you can go ahead and toggle one of these on and upload that image and add that to this guaranteed safe checkout section right here. And I think that's a very, very useful tool to have. All right, let's go ahead and show Stripe because we also accept Stripe. So there's Stripe right there as well. You can also do the same thing. Okay, and I also like the colored version better. It's just much more colorful. And then as you scroll down, there are 2 more things that actually 3 more things that you can customize here. So we can toggle on to use a custom quantity plus and minus. So right now with the quantities, you can move them up and down to select how much of the quantity of the product that you want. Another option for doing that is to turn on the custom quantity plus and minus. And if you do that, then you'll have this minus sign and plus sign there where people can just use the plus sign or minus sign to navigate that versus having the up and down arrows. You can also change the tab style of the description right here. So you see how we have these 3 tabs, which is pretty standard in WooCommerce. But under each tab, you have some information and then you have the title of that tab listed again. Sometimes you might not want that. So there's a toggle here that will allow you to turn that off. So right here where it says, show default headings in tab content, you can toggle that off, and when you do that, then that extra heading disappears. Okay, and then the actual tab style here, so we have this sort of traditional tab style. You can change that by center it, and this just gives you a much cleaner look. So now your product page just looks much more dynamic, looks more full, and offers way more conversion elements than when it was there by itself. Okay. So matter of fact, I really like this. So I think I'm just going to leave it like this and have it flow through all the other products. And that is how you customize the product page in Kadence. Okay, so now that you can see how we've created a product and how simple it was, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and create the rest of the products. So I'm going to bring in all the products into this install. And then we're going to go ahead and progress through learning the rest of the options that we have with WooCommerce and Kadence. And so as not to waste your time, I'm going to go ahead and do that behind the scenes And by the time I flip back to this, all those products will be installed. All right, so I've gone ahead and created additional products. So now we have about 32 products in the shop. And now what we need to do is now start applying our design to the website, right? So right now this looks fairly plain and everything is in its default state. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a menu, right? So a proper menu for the site. And then we're going to build out the home page with all the different e-commerce sections that you'll find in the home page. So let's go ahead and start with the menu. To create that menu, just go to the dashboard, go to Appearance, click on Menu, and we're going to call this one our main menu. So this is where we create the menu. So click on Main Menu, Create Menu. All right, now we're ready to start adding some pages to this menu. So I'm going to click here to do View All so I can see all the items I have access to. I definitely want a home menu item. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the categories as menu items. So to be able to do that, let's go ahead and open up the screen options here. And I just want to make sure that product categories is selected. So when I do that, then what that allows me to do is basically be able to add the product categories that I created initially. I have actually I have 5 product categories. So, but I just want the main ones. So I'm going to select the handbags, shirts, shoes, t-shirts, and watches, and we're going to go ahead and add that in that place. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a custom link here until I can build a page for this for contact. Add new. And yeah, so far this looks good. You know what? Let's go ahead and add the product category of new arrivals. We don't have any items in there yet, but it's kind of nice to have that. So we'll have new arrivals. All right, so this is plenty menu items for us for this portion. I'm going to click Save Menu. And when we go, actually, let's assign this to be the primary menu. And I also want this to be the mobile menu. And then just save the work. I'm now going to go to the home page, and you'll see now that our menu items are better arranged and organized correctly. Great. Then the next thing we need to do is let's go ahead and customize this a little bit so that the fonts look a little bit better. So I'm going to go to Customize. We're going to go to Header, then Primary Navigation. And I can also go over here and select the navigation as well, and it'll still bring me to the same place. So I can go ahead and make these design changes. So the thing that I want to actually change is I want to change the size of this. This is really big font here. So I'm going to go to Design, and we're going to go to the navigational font, and I want to select size. I want to set this to 15. Actually, let's set it to 14. And then I'm going to transform it to all be capitalized, which makes it a little bit bigger. Okay, that looks good. Then next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the general here, and I'm going to increase the spacing between the items. So let's get this. So there's plenty of spacing, so everything kind of stands on its own. We can see it. So let's go with 2.25 M. That looks great. I'm going to publish, and now the header is pretty much done. Now there is one other thing that I want to do in the header. So when you go back out here, let's go to the header items. You have these items, these available items in the header. So Kadence has a header that you can build out with additional widgets. So one of these widgets is the cart. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that cart over here right after our navigation. All right, so now our cart's over there. Now this is looking more like an e-commerce header. I'm gonna go ahead and publish my changes, and now our heading is pretty much done. Next, we're going to start working on the homepage sections. So let's go ahead and get into that right now. All right, so to build out our home page, we're going to go ahead and edit the home page that we have here. So this blank one right here. And we're going to start adding our sections to the home page. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to add a row block, and I can do that by either clicking this plus sign here, doing a / and typing row to give me the Kadence row layout, or I can click on the plus sign right here and drag layout in there as well. All that would work for me to be able to pull in Gutenberg blocks into the page. So I'm going to go ahead and select row layout. This is the one that I want. I'm going to select a 1-column row, and then within this row I'm going to add a 2-column row as well. That way I have an outer container and an inner section to build out the featured area. So we're going to start off with the featured area of the home page first, where we're going to feature the main call to action and some kind of an image or a model there to open up the page. So go ahead and select the outermost row here. So I'm going to select this outermost row. And if you're trying to get to this and you can't, open up the list tree and you can select that row layout like this right here. Okay. So now that I have that, I'm going to go over here to the right and I'm going to go down to structure settings. And what I want to do here is I want to set the content max width to inherit from the theme. So that's about 1290 pixels, and that's going to go ahead and bring in the internal container area there to be centered in the middle of the page. All right, then the next thing that I want to do is I want to add a background to that outer container. So I'm going to go here to the background settings. I'm going to click on select image, and I already have an image prepared. And for those of you who may be following along with this tutorial, if you are, the links to the images that I use in this tutorial are going to be in the description below. So feel free to download those. They're totally free, and you can use them to follow along with this tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that into the page here so you can kind of see it here. And then what I want to do over here in the preview of the image, I'm going to go ahead and grab this circle. So I'm just clicking down on this, and I'm going to move it straight up so that it's at a 50% left to the left and at the top 0, right? So that's going to go ahead and align the image to the very top of this container right here. Then I do want to see more of this container. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll back down to the structure settings, and I'm going to increase the minimum height here to 800 pixels. And that's going to go ahead and open that up for me nicely so that I can see what I'm working on. Then I can also see that this inner container here is aligned to the top. We're going to go ahead and vertical align that to the middle by selecting the vertical alignment option here. And we're going to select align middle, and that's going to bring it to the middle. Now we're ready to start adding in the content for this section right here. So we're going to add some heading text to this and some regular text and the button, so that it has a nice call to action and whatever it is that we're trying to promote on the home page of the e-commerce webpage will be promoted here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the first column. I'm going to click on the plus sign. I want an advanced heading, and for that heading we're going to say spring sale. And now we're going to go ahead and format this so that we can see what we're writing. So we can either change the colors here on the right, or we can use a short menu right here to go ahead and do that. I will be using the short menu. So first I'm going to set up the color so that I can see what I'm working on. And the color that I want to use is actually a blue color here. So we're going to go ahead and just align that here. So 088EF0 will be our color that we want to use. Kind of matches the color, the splotches that are on the jacket of our model here. And then the next thing that I want to do here is on the typography settings right here. I want this to be uppercase. That looks pretty good. Then the next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to set a size of 22. And I'm also going to give it a line height of 22. So that way the height of it is actually nice and uniform for when we add our next piece of content to this column. And speaking of next piece of content, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I can go ahead and click on the plus sign here. We're going to add an advanced heading, and we're going to put up our offer here, which is going to be a 75% off. Okay. And now I can go ahead and format this. So we're going to add some color to this. I want this to be white. So you can go ahead and type F 6 times. That will give you the hex code for the white color. And then over here on the typography settings, I'm going to go ahead and pick the system default so it can give me all the weights. And I'm going to set that to ultra bold 900 to make it nice and thick. And then we're going to make this pretty big. Okay, so we're going to go 95 pixels so that we can all see it. And then to eliminate some of the spacing, I want to set the line height here. So let's go ahead and open up our typography, and I'm going to set the line height to, let's see what it looks like at 80. Okay, that looks pretty good, nice and close. Okay, so 75% off, but 75% off what? Well, 75% off, let's say our new arrivals, right? So I'm going to add another advanced heading there, and we're going to type all our new arrivals. Okay, and just like we've done all the other ones, we're going to go ahead and format this. I want it to be white. Okay, and here in the typography settings, we're going to set this to 24. And I'm also going to set the line height to 24. And then the other thing that I want to do here is, let's take a look at that. I probably want to eliminate some of the spacing between the two here. So I'm going to select the 75% off. And I'm going to come over here to the right side and we're going to open up the heading. So this heading's spacing settings, which is right here. I'm going to open that up, and at the bottom, I'm going to set that to 0. That is a little bit too close. So let's go ahead and put some space between that. Let's set that to 10. All right, now that looks pretty good. Okay, so 75% off all our new arrivals. Then I also want just some regular text here. So for that, I'm going to go to my Lorem Ipsum website, which is lipsum.com. We're going to grab some dummy text from there, come back to your site, click in the area right here. And I still want to use an advanced heading for this. So I'll do a /, grab the advanced heading. And then I'm going to set this advanced heading to be a paragraph, which is one of my favorite things about the Kadence heading block. I can set it to be whatever type of heading I want, including a paragraph. So it's just regular text. The benefit of doing that is that you get all the formatting options that come with the headings, but that doesn't come with a traditional Gutenberg paragraph block. So I'm going to go ahead and select the paragraph here, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that information in here. And now I can go ahead and change the color. So we're going to set this to be also a white color. Okay, so far this is actually looking pretty good. Next thing that I want to do is I want to add a button here, but I don't want to just add a button. I want to add some design element to it as well. So I'm going to show you a nice little technique that we use to draw eyes to a button, right? So what I'm going to do here is right below the text, I'm going to go ahead and add a row layout. I want this to be a 2-column row layout like that. And then in the first column, we're going to add a cadence divider. So just go ahead and click on the plus sign and search for divider. Here's the spacer divider right there. I'm going to select that, and it gives me this divider right here. Over here on the right are all the customization settings for this divider and spacer. What I want to do with that is here, I'm going to set this to be 20 pixels in height. And then the divider style, we're going to make that a stripe divider. So it looks like that. Okay. The next thing that I want to do is I want to align this completely to the left. And then I also want the width of the divider to be full width. So I want it to go all the way across that column. So we're going to set this to 100%. All right, so far that looks good. Now right next to that is where we're going to add our button. So go ahead and click on the plus sign in the second column, and we're going to select the advanced button. And for the text for this advanced button, it's going to say shop now. And now we can go ahead and format our button. So over here to the right, first thing we want to do, button alignment is going to be to the left. Then the button settings right here, we're going to set this button to be, let's leave it at medium size. Medium size is fine for now, but we want to set up the colors for this button. So the text color is going to be a white color. Okay. And then the background color we will leave transparent, but the border color, we're also going to set that to be white. So remember, white, the hex code is just 6 Fs. Okay. Then the hover color for the button. So I want when we hover over this button, it becomes a solid button. And the color that we're going to use for that hover is going to be an inverse of this. So we want it to be a white color with black text. So the hover color, text color, is going to be black. And we could either use our palette color here, or we could do it ourselves. So we can go 0, 0, 0, 6 zeros will give us the dark color there. And then the background is going to be white. And so when I hover over this, we can now see the shop now, right? And then let's make the hover border color also white. Okay, so it fills in really nicely. That looks good. Then the next thing that we want to do, let's add an icon. So right here under the icon settings, select the icon settings. I'm going to search for a cart. And let's use this cart right here. And that looks really good. Let's look at the hover again. That looks really nice. And now when we click away from that, let's look at how everything's lining up. So I'm seeing that right here, it's not really lining up in the center. So I want that to line up in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and select that row. So here's the row right here. And if you have a hard time selecting that, remember, you can always open up the list tree and find the row in the list tree, and that will allow you to select it. Now that I've selected it, I want to align the items, vertically align the items to the center. So I'm going to vertically align it to the middle like that. And now it's perfectly in the middle. Let's click away so we can see it. That looks really good. Okay, so now let's also look at it on the front end just to make sure that all our items are lining up correctly. Now I am noticing that there's a lot of space. There's a lot of space right here. that space is coming from the default padding that the row layout has when you put it in there. So let's select that row, and we're going to eliminate that spacing. So I'm going to come over here to the padding and margin, and I'm just going to set that to 0. All right. So that gives me a little more spacing, and it's still a little bit, it's a little bit much. So I'm going to go ahead and select this, select the heading here or the paragraph here. And then I'm going to come over here to the right. We're going to go to spacing settings, and let's set this margin to 15, or better yet, 10. All right. That looks a lot better. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and update to save my changes. And when we view the page, we now have this beautiful heading area. We've got the model here on the right, and we have our call to action and offer here on the left. So next, we're going to go ahead and build out the rest of the page. So all the different sections that we have here as we put this together. And pretty soon we'll have a pretty nice homepage for our e-commerce website. So let's go ahead and add a benefits section to our e-commerce homepage here. So I'm going to go here to edit page, and directly below this hero area right here, I'm going to go ahead and add a new block. Oh, it looks like there's a block there already. Let's get rid of that. Click the plus sign here, add a row layout. I'm going to select a 1-column row, and then directly inside of that, I'm going to add a 4-column row so I can have up to 4 benefits that I can highlight. I'm going to select the outermost row here, and the first thing I'm going to do with the padding and margin is I'm going to zero that out so that it's a little bit more narrow. And then on the structure settings here, I want the max width to be inherited from the theme, which is about 1290 pixels. So that will center that internal area for me. All right, next, now I need to just add my benefits. To do that, we're going to be utilizing the info box from Kadence blocks. So here's the info box here, or you can do a search here for info box and you will see this one. We'll add that in there. And we're now going to go ahead and configure this so that it presents our benefits nicely. The benefit that we're going to be highlighting here is free shipping. Okay, so just type in free shipping, and we only want about 2 lines of text. That would be plenty to describe that benefit. Then over here on the right, we're going to go to the container settings. And actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and content align this to the left. Then in the container settings, I don't want a background or a border. So I'm going to go ahead and select the container background. And here where you have the hex code and then RGBA, we're going to put a 0 in the A field. And that's going to create a transparency for us there. And then in the container border, we're going to do the exact same thing. Select the color and put a 0 in the A right there. The container padding, I want this padding. I don't want any padding there, so we're going to make that a 0 as well. And then the next thing that we're going to do here is to make sure that the hover state also doesn't have any color to it. So I'm going to click on the hover state, and here in the hover background, I'm going to select it, and we're going to 0 out the A field so that it's transparent, and do the same thing for the border. Okay, next we need to deal with our media or our icon. So under the media settings, go ahead and set the media to be aligned to the left of the content there, which looks good. And then we'll leave it vertically aligned to the middle for now. And then we'll just change the icon. So the icon has to be something that has to do with shipping. So we're going to type in a truck, and that is our shipping icon. And then we're going to reduce the size of this icon to 30 pixels. Then the other thing that I want to do here with the icon, if you keep scrolling down, you'll see that the icon has these margins, and there's about 15 pixels on the left-hand side of this. I'm going to go ahead and 0 that out so I have more space and this stretches out a little bit more. All right, next we're going to deal with the title settings. So we're going to significantly reduce the size of the title, and we're going to make this title 15 pixels. And then the line height, we're going to make the line height, let's make the line height 15 pixels as well. All right, and then next we're going to go ahead and scroll down to the text transform. I'm going to make this uppercase so it's a little more strong and bold. And then as we scroll down here, we have a margin here. We're just going to reduce this to 5 pixels. So it brings the text a little bit closer. All right, next is the text settings. Text settings, we're also going to reduce that. Let's make that 14 pixels. And the line height here that we're going to be using, let's make that 10 pixels. Actually, no, let's keep it at 14. Maybe a little bit bigger. Let's make it 20. Okay, that looks good. Then the next thing that we need to do here, now that we've created our nice little benefit right here, the next thing that we need to do is we need to copy that across these other columns and then change out the different benefits into different things. Okay, so now that we have this all set up, just go ahead and select your info box like I've done right here. Click on the more options for that box and click on copy. And then click into the next column, select the paragraph Gutenberg block, and then press Command V if you're on a Mac or Control V if you're on a PC. And we're going to copy that across each column. All right, so now our benefits are lined up. Next, we need to change each benefit to be different, right? So the second one is going to be a money back guarantee. Okay, and here we're going to give it an appropriate icon. So go to the media settings here, get rid of the truck, do a search for hand, and you'll see this nice hand one with the $sign floating above it. Let's go ahead and add that. The next one here is going to be easy returns and refunds. Okay, and we're going to scroll here, go to the media settings, and for this one, I want to use a box. Okay, to represent the returns. And then the last one is going to be great customer service. Okay, and we're going to go to the media settings here, remove the truck, and we're going to look for something that represents customer service. So let's type in headphones. All right, so here's one that looks like it fits the bill. All right, so now this looks pretty good. Now the other thing I want to do is I just want to separate this from the hero area and the rest of the page. So I'm going to select the outer row again, and we're going to go to the right under border settings. We're going to add a very light border. So you can type in 6Es. That will give you a light border there. And we want the border to show just on the bottom. So we're going to put a 1 pixel border on the bottom there. And then let's go ahead and update our work and take a look at it on the front page. And you'll see here you have a very, very professional looking benefits section for your e-commerce page. Up next, we're going to go ahead and create the rest of the page by adding in category sections, products, and an opt-in or two, and then go ahead and proceed to the next part of the tutorial. All right, to add categories to our homepage, we're going to go to Edit Page, and right below our benefits here, we're going to add a new container block or a row block. Here we go. It's going to have one column, and then what we're going to do is inside of that row, we're going to add a 3-column row layout to be able to add our categories to. So these are sections that are going to link to the categories of products that you have to offer in your store. And then once again, we're going to select the outermost row here, go to the structure settings and make sure that the max width is inherited from the theme so that everything is centered. All right, so we're going to work through each one of these, and it's going to get a little bit complex, but not too difficult. This is absolutely something that everyone can do. So what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and set this up. So I'm going to select the inside row here where we have the 3 columns. And over here to the right, I want one row to be really big and then the other 2 rows to be small but of equal width. So this is the layout that I'm actually going to be working with here. So this is the left heavy, 50%, and then 25% and 25%. So let's go ahead and click on that and it'll do it for you automatically. All right, so now we're going to work on the first section here. So this section here is going to be our new arrivals section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in here, and I'm going to add another row layout. It's going to be 1 column. And inside of this row, I'm going to select this row here like this. Inside of this row here, we're going to be looking for this section. So if you just click the row you just added, it will show you the section block, which is inside of a row. So that's the container inside of a row or column inside of a row. To make this make more sense, let me open this up here for a minute. So here is the outer row with the 3 layouts. Then we have a section, all right? Then there's a row layout that we've added here, right? And then another section, right? And then there's another row layout there and another section. This section right here is what we want to work on, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're now going to go ahead and give the row layout on the outside a background. And then we will put our content inside of the section. Okay, so I'm going to select this row layout here. Then I'm going to go to my background settings, select an image, and the image we're going to select is this one. We're going to use this for our new arrivals background. So it creates a background here for me. Right? Then the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and make sure that this is aligned to the top, like that. And then I want to add my content in here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign on the inside of that section. We're going to add a advanced heading, and we're going to call this new arrivals. And then we're going to click the plus sign again, add another advanced heading. And this time let's get rid of the advanced heading. We don't need another advanced heading. Actually, what we want here is we want a button. So I'm going to select the button. All right. And I'm going to type in here, see what's new. Going to go ahead and align this to the left so it's directly under our heading here. And let's go ahead and make this heading. Let's go ahead and customize this. So we're going to set the color to be white. And then let's go ahead and customize our button as well. So this is going to be a clear button. So what we're going to do here, the text color is going to be white. Okay. The background color is going to be clear. The border color is also going to be white. For the hover state here, we're going to go ahead and select the hover color is fine as white, but the background color, I want it to be a solid color when you hover over the background, and that color is going to be white, which actually means the text color is going to be a dark color. Okay, so if I hover over this, then I'm able to see my text. And then what I want to do is I want to make sure that the hover border color matches the background color on hover. So let's give that 6 Fs. And now that looks great, just like that, okay? Now the next thing that I want to do here is, notice how this is very narrow, the way that it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a minimum height to it. So I'm going to go ahead and select that row again. There it is. I'm going to go over here to structure settings. And just for now, we're going to give it a minimum height of 450 pixels. Okay. Then on the inside, I want this content to be actually aligned to the bottom. So I'm going to select the vertical align here, and we're going to say align bottom. And now we have our new arrivals section. Okay. So next we need to create the other sections, right? If we remember, our categories are shirts, handbags, shoes, and t-shirts, right? And watches. So we want to have a category for each one aligned here as well. So I'm going to repeat the same thing, but inside of these smaller columns. Okay. So I'm going to click on the first column. I'm going to add a row layout to that. One column row layout. And then on the outside of that here, I'm going to go ahead and add a background. So I'm just repeating the same process. So I'm going to come here to the background, select the image. And for this one, we're going to go with, let's go with watches. Okay. So these are going to be our watch category. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to click inside of this column here. I'm going to add an advanced heading, and we're going to call this watches. We're going to go ahead and add some color to that. So let's make that white so that it's visible. There it is. And then we're going to add another advanced heading, but this time we're going to set it up to be a paragraph. And the text here that we want is view all, so that we can link this to the watches. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. I'm going to add some color to it as well. I'm going to make this white. Now, what's great about the advanced headings in Kadence blocks is you can come over here to the right side, and there are link settings for every heading or every heading block with Kadence blocks. So I'm going to click on the link settings here, and we're going to go ahead and do a search for watches. And here are the watch options, and there should be a watch category that shows up. All right, I'm not seeing the watch category in here, so there's a little workaround that I have. So what I do is I just go ahead and highlight the text, click on this link right here. I'm going to type in watches here, and it will show me the category. So here's that category right here. And when we select it, I can go ahead and click edit, highlight it, copy it, break the link, and then come in here and put it where I want it, which is right there. Okay, it's just a little workaround if you ever run into some issues trying to add links to your headings. Okay, so now that we've done that, the other thing that we want to do here, so remember, we want our row here, we want everything to be aligned to the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and select the outer row, and I'm going to align everything to the bottom. Okay, and then let's create some space here, and we're going to give this some padding. So let's go with 80 at the top, maybe a little bit more. How about 90 pixels? And that's looking pretty good there. Let me add another 10 pixels. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Now, one of the things that I'm noticing is I'm not able to see my text very well, and that's exactly why you want to use a row layout back here. That way you can add an overlay to it if you want, right? So I can just select this here, which is a row layout, and I can come to the background overlay settings, and we can do a background color. So let's do that one, or maybe a little bit darker. How about more darker? How about that? Yeah. So that looks pretty good. Now we can see our text very well. The other thing is I noticed there's too much of a gap between the two here. So I'm going to select the watches. I'm going to go to the spacing settings, and we're going to do a margin of 5 pixels, or about 0 pixels. How about that? Yeah, there we go. So now we have this in place. Now we need to just duplicate what we just did here below it, right? So to be able to do that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up my list view, find that row, or just select it. So here's the row. And then what I want to do is I'm going to copy that row. Now that I've copied it, right below it, I'm going to go ahead and paste it by adding a paragraph and doing a Command V. Remember, it's Control V if you are using Control V if you are using a PC, right? So now I have that in place there, and I'm going to do the same thing in here as well. Click the plus sign, paragraph, and just paste that whole setup in here. That way you save yourself some time having to rebuild everything again. And now I just need to add some margin between the two, right? So I'm going to select that last one that I created, and right here I'm going to go to padding and margin, and the margin I'm going to add here is 25 pixels, and we'll do the same here, padding and margin, 25 pixels. Okay, so now we have a pretty good looking category section. So let's close this out so we can see everything. All right, so now everything looks pretty good. And if you want to align this so that everything is aligned, what I like to do is every time I do one of these, I like to check the front end to see how everything's aligning, and it's matching up pretty well, right? So maybe if you don't like this little gap here, I like the gap, but if you don't like this little gap and you want everything to really align, then we now know that we need to adjust this here. So looking at it, if I'm just eyeballing this, this is about 40 pixels. So I know that I can now go back here and I can select this row, go to structure settings, and I can reduce this to 410. And okay, so that's a little bit too much. So let's increase. You can increase this incrementally, and there it is. Perfect match. Update, and then let's view the page, and now everything is lined up really nice, and this is our category section. So now what we need to do is we need to change these to the respective categories. So we already got one for watches. Let's go ahead and make one for t-shirts, handbags, and shoes. So I'm going to click on edit page. And now we're going to go over to the watches row right here. I'm sorry, the next row right here, it says watches. That's why I said that. And let's change this one to t-shirts. And then I'm going to go ahead and select the row itself, go to the background settings of that row. And here we're going to go ahead and edit this image. And we want our t-shirt image, or t-shirt category image right there. All right, and then we're also need to change this link to be our t-shirts link. Okay, so again, kind of the same thing. I'm going to highlight this. This is my little workaround. There we go. Highlight this. Come over here to the link settings. We're going to open this up. And we can see the product category here. And I know that it is, this one says watches, but I labeled the other one as t-shirts. I'm just going to type t-shirts, and I will link accordingly. All right, so now that one's done. Next, we're going to do this one. Let's make this one our handbags. So I'm going to select the row itself, go to the background settings, and edit the image. Select our handbag category image, add that in, change the text to handbags. Select the view all, go to the right here, link settings for that heading, edit the heading wrap link, and we're going to change this text to say handbags and save it. And then the final one is going to be our shoes. So select the row, background settings, edit image, and we're looking for the shoes. Here's the one we use for shoes. All right, change the text, click on the second heading here, which we're using for the link for that category. Go to the right, link settings, edit the link, and we're going to make this shoes. Update. All right, and that looks pretty good. If we go to the front end of the website, we can see that our home page is coming together really nicely, right? So we've got this really nice new arrivals. Oh, you know what? We need to link this to our new arrivals, right? So let's go ahead and click on edit page. Select the button. Over here on the right, or actually right here, we could do it right here. We could type in new arrivals. Okay, how about just new? Sometimes it searches for it and it finds it, and sometimes it doesn't. So it's not doing it right now. So that's fine. All we need to do is go ahead and grab one of these links. So just select any one of them that you created before. Go to the link settings, hit the edit icon there, select all that text, and then make sure to resubmit it. Go back to the button, paste that in, and we know it's the new arrival, so we know the slug is going to be new dash arrivals. And then we're going to save that and update. All right, so now our setup here, this looks pretty nice. Our setup is for the categories is already in place. Now we just need to add some products, add an opt-in or two, and we are done with the home page. So let's go ahead and do those final pieces right now. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to feature some of our products. We're going to feature a few of them in every category on our home page. This will fill out the home page really nicely and give people a chance to be able to purchase the products directly. So to be able to do that, we're just going to come in and pull in about 4 of each product. So 4 of each watch, 4 of each t-shirts, 4 of each handbag, or 4 of each shoes. That should give us enough content to fill out the page. And then we can have some things in between that as well to give us a really nice looking home page for our e-commerce website. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go here to edit page and continue with our homepage building here. And what I'd like to do, I'm just going to close this section for a minute here so I can see everything. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a block, a row block. And this row block is going to feature our popular watches as an example, right? So I'm going to come here, go to the select the row layout, right? And what I'm doing here is I'm just doing a / row, and that's pulling up this little menu for me to be able to select the row layouts. Just a shortcut from being able to go to the plus sign and doing it that way. Okay, I'm going to open up a 1-column row here, and then I'm going to go on the inside of this row and do another row layout, and this is also going to be a 1-column row. So that way I have an outer container and an inner container. For the outer container here, let's go ahead and select that outer container. I'm now going to go ahead and set the structure settings so that the content max width is going to be inherited for the theme, which is going to break everything in for me. And then inside of here, I'm going to start putting in my content. And what I want here is I want a title, a divider, and some products. Okay, so I'm going to do the plus sign right here on advanced heading, and what I want this to be is popular watches. Okay, you can say popular watches or featured watches, whichever one that you want. Then I'm going to go ahead and center this text, and for the typography here, I want to transform this to uppercase. Okay, and I think I'd like this to be a little bit thicker. Okay, so let's make this bold. It's already bold. Let's make it ultra bold. All right, that looks better. Yeah, it kind of matches everything. So popular watches. Now below this, I want a divider. So I'm going to click the plus sign, and I'm going to search for divider. Kadence calls this the spacer / divider. This is the one that I want. I'm going to select that, and that looks pretty good there. It's 60 pixels tall, which is pretty tall. In this case, 40 pixels will be tall enough for me. And then down here, what I want you to do is select the stripe version of it. Okay, and then let's just add a little bit more color. So we can pick from our color palette here. Let's make it a little bit darker. All right, so that looks good. All right, now remember, every time you add a advanced heading, there's a default gap here. There's a default margin between that. So if you ever feel like this is too tall or too much space, you can always select the heading and come over here to the spacing settings. And for instance, if I zeroed this out, that'll bring everything a lot closer. But I'm not going to do that right now. That's fine. I just want to see what it looks like after we're done building it. So we've created our advanced heading. We've created a divider here. I think the divider is a little bit too long. I would actually like this divider to be a little bit shorter. So select the divider, come over here to the right side, and we're going to look for the divider width by percentage, which is right here. Right now it's at 80%. Let's see what it looks like at 50%. Okay, maybe 20%. There we go. I like this. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm now going to add my products. Now, when you have WooCommerce installed, there are some blocks that actually come with WooCommerce. So if we scroll through the blocks here, or you could just do a search for Woo. If you do a search for Woo, you'll see a bunch of these blocks, right? There's all kinds of things that you can pull in to really create a nice dynamic page and pull in some products. Okay, so the one that we're actually looking for, let's close this out. I want to see all of them. The one that we're actually looking for is scroll. Let's see, let's find that Woo. There we go. WooCommerce blocks. See all the blocks that they have here. There's quite a bit of them. The one that I'm actually looking for is this handpicked products. I really like this block because what it allows you to do is it allows you to select individual products and pull that into a row, right? So I'm going to go ahead and select this one, all right? And from the handpicked products, I want this to be watches. Now, I could just easily just go ahead and do a search for watches, and it will pull up all the watches. First, I have to spell that right. There we go. So now it pulls up all the products that have the term watch in them. If I make that singular, there we go. It pulls up all the terms named watch. So, that's why when I named the products, I always put the actual thing that the product is, right? So black and gold luxury watch, black leather watch, and so on. That then allows me to pull in the watch. So then I can just select which ones that I want. So I would like this red band watch. I would like the gold and silver rim watch. Let's also do the silver rim watch, and let's do the snakeskin band watch. So that's 4 products, right? And over here on the right hand side, we can go ahead and set how many columns. So since I'm having 4 products, I'm going to set this to 4 columns. Okay, and here's the content that will be visible. So it'll show me the product title, the price, the rating, and the add to cart button. Great, that's all I really need. So I'm going to go ahead and click done, and it pulls in the watches just like that. See, it's absolutely beautiful how this pulls in. And because we're using Kadence, this is sort of the Kadence sleek, clean way of displaying products, right? And you already can see how much of a difference this makes on the page. So let's go ahead and update our work and then take a look at it on the front end. And if we scroll through, we can now see we have our popular watches, right? And when you hover over it, then it will show the add to cart. So now that we have this, I also want to be able to, it's because you can see just these 4 watches, I want to be able to show something that will allow you to see all the watches, right? See all the watches. So I could do that in a number of ways. I could create a button and link that button to the watches category. But I want to do it in a very visual way and sort of in a way that interrupts the viewer's pattern. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to show you something really cool. We're going to click on edit page and we're going to scroll down here and I'm going to add another row. And it's going to be inside of this entire block right here. I'm going to add another row here and we're going to click the plus sign and we're going to do a row layout here. And I'm going to do a 2-column row. Okay. 2-column row. And in this row right here, we're going to add an image. Advanced gallery. The advanced gallery in Kadence can be used to create a gallery, but it can also be used to create just a single image if you want. A lot of people don't realize that, but you can. So we're going to select advanced gallery. I'm going to go to my media library and I'm going to select this specific watch. So this watch right here is going to represent the overall category of watches. So this isn't a product. This is just pulling in an image. So I'm going to click create new gallery, insert gallery, and here's my watch. Now this is automatically defaulting to a 3-column gallery. I want that to be 1, so it just looks like one big image, kind of like that. Okay. Then the next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave this as gallery. I'm going to leave that the way that it is. The next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm now going to add some content on the right-hand side over here. Okay, so I'm going to click on the plus sign. We're going to add an advanced heading, and we're going to call this See All Premium Watches. Okay, and then let's go ahead and grab some lorem ipsum text. So this presumably will be the description of our category on the home page. We're going to add an advanced heading. I'm going to convert that advanced heading into a paragraph, and I'm going to go ahead and paste in my text. Then I'm going to add a button. So we're going to do an advanced button. And let's go ahead and align this to the left. And this button will say View Watches. Okay. And I'm not styling anything right now. I'm just adding my content. So now that all the content is in, let's go ahead and start styling this section right here. Okay. So we don't want to leave it like this. So go ahead and select that row. So this is the whole row right here. If you have a difficult time doing that, you know what to do. Just go ahead and open up the list tree and you'll be able to get to that row just like that. Okay. So now that we have selected the row, let's close this out. And what I want to do, I want to align everything to the middle like that. And then the next thing that I want to do is I want this to be a little bit smaller. So right now this is the full width of the internal container here. I want this to be even smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the structure settings of this row and I'm going to set this to a content width, a max width of 650 pixels. And what that'll do is it'll make everything a little bit smaller here, just like that, which is fine. Actually, let's increase this a bit. Let's make it 750. There we go. So 750 is good. All right, and then the next thing that I want to do is I don't want to just leave this like this. I like it to be a little bit more dynamic. So I'm going to select this outer row right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the background overlay settings. Let's select a gradient. Let's select a color for our gradient. And we're going to use this color, actually the darker one, this strongest color right here. And the second color is going to be white. And if you scroll down to your gradient, what we're going to do here is we're going to create an overlapping effect using the gradient. Now, because our image has a white background, this is going to be perfect for what we're trying to do. So pay attention here to what I do with this. So what I've done so far is I've selected the background overlay setting of that row. I've set the color to be just a dark color. So you can use a color from your darkest color from your palette or your own dark color if you want. The second color is white. The gradient angle is 180 right now, so it's going from top to bottom. But if you can change this to 90, and you notice that this is on the other side, the darker color is on the other side. But I want this darker color to be on the right side. I don't want it to be on the left. So if I can set this to, I think it's 270. There we go. 270 is the gradient angle. So now the darker color is on the right-hand side. And then what we're going to do with that here is we're now going to change how this gradient is flowing. So right now it's kind of going from right to left and it's fading into the left-hand side. What I want to do is I want to eliminate that fade. And to do that, you want to go to the location of the first color, and there is a slider here. Just start moving the slider, okay? And you'll notice that that dark color gets darker towards the light side. So I'm going to move this to be about 70%. Actually, let's make it 60 right there, about 60. On the location for the second color, I'm going to now start reducing that. And right when I get to about 60, it becomes a solid line, giving the illusion that we're overlapping, that the watch is overlapping this section right here. So far this looks pretty good. Then the next thing that I want to do here is I want this to be a lot darker. But before I do that, I need to change the color of my text. So I'm going to select this text right here, and we're going to make this text a white color. And we're going to make the description text there white color. And then we're also going to help our button be more visible. So I'm going to select the button, come over here to the right. The text color will be white. The border color will be white. And the hex color for white is just 6Fs. And then on hover, I want it to become solid. So the hover color is going to be a dark color. So we can just make this 6 zeros for our black. The background color is going to be white. And the hover border color is also going to be white. Okay, great. So that'll look like that. Okay, now we need to set this up so that we can actually see this a lot better, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to scroll down. Select the row first. Then we're going to scroll down here and we're going to go back to our background overlay settings. And in the overlay settings, overlay opacity. This is what is controlling the transparency of this area. I'm going to go ahead and set that to be fully opaque. Okay. So now we have this nice overlapping look. Then the next thing that I want to do here is I want to just set this up so that it looks a little bit more, there's more breathing room. And I'm also going to configure this a little bit so that it's obvious that this is actually an image overlapping this area. So it's a really cool effect. So select the image itself, just click on it, come over here to the right, go to image style, and under the image style here, we're going to set a border radius of 12. And that's going to go ahead and give us this rounded effect right here. Okay, very nice rounded effect. Then the next thing that you'll want to do here is where it says see all premium watches. If you select that section, right? So I'm selecting the section inside of the row. This is selecting the row. This is selecting the section. Okay, another way to do this, open up the list tree and you have the row right here. You have the first section and the second section. So I'm selecting the second section. And what I want to do in this second section is I want to create a little bit of gap there. So I'm going to go to the padding and margin. And we don't really need a lot. Just on the left hand side, go ahead and do 20 pixels there. And we're also going to do, let's also do 20 pixels on the right. Okay. All right. And then let's close this down. All right, so it's created a little bit of an overlap here, but I like the spacing. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go back to my row. And when I scroll down here, I'm going to go to the structure settings. And I'm going to give, so I increased this by 20 pixels on each side, which is about 40 pixels total. So I'm going to change this custom width over here to 790. Or actually, let's just make it 800 for the width. And see if that allows us to spread out a little bit. We're still, let's see, 860. There we go. That might be too wide. 860 is fine. Okay, so because I want this to be fully out, all right? And this now presents a lot better. All right, so let's go ahead and update and take a look at that. So now we've created, actually, let's add the link to our category. And that's very easy to find. You can just come up here to your watches. See this link right here. Just click on it. This is one we set up earlier before. You can go to the link settings and you can go ahead and copy the link. I'm going to go ahead and just paste that link in and submit it. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and update this and let's go ahead and view the page. All right. So here you can kind of see it says, see all premium watches, and we've got a watch there overlapping, nice little overlap effect. And we have this row right here as well. Okay. So this looks great. So now we're going to go ahead and repeat the same process But this time we're going to do popular. We're going to do popular shoes and then popular t-shirts and so on, and have sort of the same effect going through the website. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to just, you're going to be amazed at this. We're just going to copy this entire section and just change all the information. We're just going to duplicate it on the page a couple times and change all the information. And you'll see how very quickly you'll have a full page of beautiful content for your e-commerce homepage. Let's go ahead and do it right now. So let's go to edit page. All right. So in here, we have this row. So let me open this up so you can kind of see what I mean. So we have this entire row. This is why we created it this way. This entire row contains everything that we need, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that row like this, and I'm going to come right here to the short menu, and I'm going to click on copy. Let's just close this down. Click on copy. Click the plus sign directly outside of that row. All right, and we're going to select the paragraph block, which is kind of a great block to copy stuff. And I'm just going to press Command V or Control V on your PC. And now we have a duplicate of this entire section. All right, and then so what we're going to do here is just change the information. So instead of popular watches, we're going to say popular shoes. Okay, and then we're going to open up our handpicked products. Again, click on edit there. And we're going to clear all this out. We don't want this. All right, now what we want are shoes, or I think we labeled these as sneakers. Okay, sneakers. And we're just going to click 4 of these. So let's get a nice red one, a blue one. Let's do a brown one. And I think this one has a little bit of pink in it. Let's just, dynamite. There we go. So we have 4. Click done, and just like that, you now have some sneakers. All right, and then over here, we want to say see all awesome sneakers. And I'm also going to change this link right here. So click on the button. We're going to click on the button link, and I know that this is a category that ends in shoes. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight that last bit of text, change it to shoes, and submit it. Then we need to change this image. Okay, so I'm going to click on the image, click on the edit icon here, edit gallery. We're going to X out of that, click on add to gallery, and we're going to find a suitable shoe. I like this two-tone one. Add to gallery, update, and now we're all done. We don't need to style anything because we already pre-styled it up here. So, and now that's done, update your work, view the page, and we have another section, but this time dedicated to shoes. All right, so you kind of get the idea now, and look at our page. Look at how awesome this is looking right now. So let's do one more. Let's do one for t-shirts. Okay, so let's do one for t-shirts. So let's go to edit page, and we've already copied it to the clipboard. So all we need to do is click the plus sign, click on the paragraph Gutenberg block there, and then just press Command V or Control V, and we'll have another new section, and we're going to call this popular t-shirts. Then we're going to select our handpicked products, edit, clear all, and we'll say t-shirts. And let's get this a casual olive one. There's a gold one. Let's do the red strip and the red rose. Done. Here's our t-shirts. And then same thing here. See all popular, or see all, I like to put greet and t-shirts. Come to the button. Remember to change this to link to your t-shirt category. So I'm gonna come here, and I know that this category is just named shirts. All right, and then we change the image. And let's find a nice shirt that we want to represent the main category. Let's use this blue one. This is very nice. That's a gallery, update gallery, and that's all set, right? So this is looking very nice. Now we could do another one for handbags, but I don't want to keep repeating the same thing, right? So it becomes kind of redundant. However, I do want to have some handbags showing on the home page here. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna do the handbags, but this time I'm just gonna do a simple button at the end so that the handbags are shown. So I'm just click on the plus sign here, and I'm gonna click on the paragraph. I'm gonna still do the same thing, Command V to, all I did was just copy these sections, do Command V, and this time we're gonna select handbags. So we're gonna clear out all these watches, type handbags to pull up all your handbag products, and let's do the chic one, this mustard, pomegranate, and red night out. Okay, done. So now here are our handbags. And well, you know what? Why not? Why don't we just keep it going? Right, this is fun. We'll just keep it going. So let's go ahead and edit this. Get rid of the watch image, add to gallery, and let's find a nice handbag that we want representing all our handbags. So here's this one right here. Add to gallery. Okay, just make sure it's not repeated. Okay, great. All right, and we'll say see all favorite handbags. Look, if you're building your store, you can do anything that you want. It's your store. So we'll do this here, and we'll change the category so that this is linking correctly. So you remember, you want to change that link to link to your handbag category. So our handbag category is named very simply as handbags. And this is one of the things that's great about Gutenberg. See, just with this block right here, you can literally insert products into your posts, pages, anywhere, just by dragging and dropping them in there. Okay, and in the pro version of Kadence, we've been doing all this with the free version of Kadence, by the way. Okay, we haven't used any pro features at all. So all this can be done for free. Now in the pro version of Kadence, you can do a lot more. There's a lot more things you can do with elements and dynamic content and so on. And we'll show that maybe in this tutorial or in a separate tutorial. We'll go over a more pro version of an e-commerce store like this. Okay. All right. So now that we're done adding our products, let's go ahead and update and take a final look before we add the final section. So we have our featured area, benefits, our category links, and then we are featuring some of our products with this really cool presentation to see all the products, right? So if I click on this, it should take me to all the watches. This is really good, really nice. Back to the home page, please. All right, and then we did that same thing for our shoes, and we did the same thing for our t-shirts, and we've done the same thing for our, we need to change this to popular handbags. So let's go ahead and edit this page. Very easy to do. Awesome thing about the Kadence blocks is that it really does make working with Gutenberg such a pleasure to do. You actually enjoy building stuff with it. Very easy to make changes, right? Popular handbags. All right, that looks good. So what we want to do now is we just want to end this page and then move on to building out our footer. And then we're done with the home page. We can make a few changes on our internal pages, and our e-commerce website will be completed. So the next thing that I want to add here to this is it's very good to add an option for people to join your mailing list or subscribe to a membership. Maybe you have a loyalty membership newsletter or something like that. So we're going to add that feature here. We're going to add that at the bottom here for people to go ahead and be able to opt in. So we're going to create a really nice, very simple opt-in, and then we're going to fill out our footer, and we are done with creating the home page. We'll make a few changes on the cart page, the checkout page, and some of the category pages. And that would be the end of the tutorial. So let's go ahead and build out that last section, build out our footer, and then continue on with this tutorial. So to create our opt-in section, let's go to edit page, and we're going to scroll down to the very bottom here, and this is where we're going to add our opt-in. So we're going to go ahead and click on the plus sign. I'm going to do a row layout. I'm going to do a 1-column row. And then inside of that, I'll have a 2-column row so that on the right-hand side, we can have the opt-in, and on the left hand, we can support that with an image. I'm going to select the outermost row here, go to the structure settings, and we're going to set the content max width to be inherited from the theme, which will go ahead and center everything for us. And then we're going to start adding our elements. So the first thing that I'm going to do is let's just create a temporary separation here. We're going to go back and change this later, but for now I want to be able to see the difference between this row and that row. So to be able to do that, just add a very light background. So I'm going to come here to the background settings, click on the background color, and let's add something really light like that. Okay, great. And then the next thing we need to do here is let's go ahead and add our opt-in. So first thing I'm going to add is a image. So let's go to grab the advanced gallery here, click on media library, and we want this image right here. This is going to be our opt-in image. And we're going to create new gallery and insert that image in there. By default, it's going to give us a 3-column gallery. We really want this to be 1 because we only care about this one image. We don't really want any other images here again in this gallery. All right, and then the next thing that we're going to do here is we're now going to add our opt-in, right? So first thing I like to do is I like to add the text of the opt-in. So I'm going to click on the plus sign here, grab an advanced heading, and the text that we're going to be using is going to say get a free gift. So get a free gift and an extra. Okay, let's go ahead and center this text, and then let's make it uppercase. And we can even increase the strength of that a little bit. Okay, so get a free gift and an extra. Then I want to go ahead and duplicate this text here, and I'm going to change this to 25% off. And then we can go ahead and configure this. So first, I'd like to set the typography settings and make this really big, maybe 75 pixels, so people can see it. And we'll make this ultra bold, so nice and thick. And then let's set the height settings here to 75. Okay, so get some nice gap there. Okay, so get a free gift and an extra 25%, and then we need one more piece of text here. So let's click on the plus sign, grab the advanced heading. We're going to tell them what they have to do, right? So we're going to say for joining the shopping club, or I say shoppers club. Okay, and we're going to center this, and then right here I'm going to change this to be more of a paragraph, so it's really small. And let's also go ahead and get rid of the spacing below that, so it's really close. Okay, allowing us to have more room for our form. So get a free gift and an extra 25% off. Now let's go ahead and add the form. So just do a / and start typing form, and you'll get this Kadence form right here. Click on that. It'll automatically give you these 3 fields. We are going to eliminate the message one because all we want is a name and email for this. Okay, so now that we have that, so name and email. Now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and configure this. So select the first field, which is the name field, and in here we're going to add a placeholder that says enter your name. And on the email field, we're going to do the same thing, except it'll say enter your email. The submit will say join the club. And already this is looking pretty neat. So now we can go ahead and style this however way we want. So looking at this, I'm noticing some of the spacing here. So we just need to tighten this up a little bit and make it look a little bit more presentable. And the way I'm going to do that in this specific case is I'm also going to use our technique here of creating some overlapping effect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select the outer background again. We're going to go to the background settings, and I'm going to clear that out. And we're going to go to the background overlay settings, select the gradient. The color that we're going to use in this case, for this one, we're going to use the subtle background here. And we're going to get rid of this default color by zeroing that out. Or actually, let's just make it white, because our website's overall white. Okay. We're not really seeing that color very well. Okay, that's fine. So just make sure that it's this gray color, F9, 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 or your whatever gray color of your choice. And then the opacity, I'm going to set that up to be 100 so that I can actually see this. And then come down to the gradient angle and set that to set the gradient angle to 90 so that it's on this side. Actually, sorry, set that to 270 like that. Okay, and then what we're going to do is what we did before. So we're going to go ahead and change the location elements, right? So I'm going to increase this location to about 60. This is usually how I test it. So I'll go about 60 is fine. Okay. And then the location for the second color, we'll start trying to meet the other one, right? So we're meeting right about here. And what I'm going to do here is just decrease a little bit so that it kind of matches up with this one on top. And then the other thing that I need to do here is create some spacing so that everything's breathing very well. So right here on the inside column right here, on this inside column, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that row, then select this section. And sometimes you may have a tough time selecting it. So let's go ahead and use our list view. And I want this section. There it is. Go to the padding, and we're gonna give it a padding of 40 pixels all the way across. Okay. So 40 pixels. Actually, you know what? We didn't really need 40 pixels on the bottom. So let's zero that out, and 40 pixels on the top, we'll zero that out. We just need it on the sides. So 40 pixels. So we have some breathing room here. And then the next thing that we're going to do on this is the image itself. I like to add some radius to it. Keep everything uniform. So 12 pixels is good. All right, so get a gift and an extra 25% off for joining the Shoppers Club. This looks really good. I probably want to bring this a little bit closer, so I'm going to select this paragraph, go over here to the spacing settings. So it has spacing settings because this is originally an advanced header. And I know that there's some default margin there, so I'm going to go ahead and zero that out, which will bring this a little bit closer for us. Okay, so this is looking good. Everything's lining up very well. And if you feel like you want to bring this even closer, I would leave it like this. You can go ahead and select that outer row, and we can come to the structure settings. And instead of using the content max width inherit from theme, actually, not that. You can actually set up your own max width. So I could say I want this to be 900 pixels, which will bring it in a little bit closer. But really, I think at about 1,000 pixels, you're fine. Or 1,200. Yeah, at about 1,200 pixels, you're fine. Or you could just use the content max width inherit from theme. That's fine. Okay, and so now this looks really good. Very nice, simple opt-in here. And if we want, on the button styles, can come to the button styles, and we can say we want this to be full. Okay, just to give it a little bit more uniformity. All right, and this looks good. So go ahead and update, and let's take a look at how this looks on the front end. Let's view this. And as we get to the bottom here, we will see our opt-in. Now, one of the things that I do want to do is I want to create some separation between this and this section right here. And also, just because we have, it's looking very, very similar. So what I want to do is I probably want to change that second color. I still want to create the overlapping effect, but I probably want to change the second color. So creating a gap and adding another color here. So let's go ahead and click on edit page. Let's go back down. And what I want is a gap. So I want a gap between here and here. So I'm going to click on this row. I'm going to go to padding and margin. And this time I'm going to use the margin to create that gap. And I think I want about 80 pixels at the top there. The next thing that I want to do is I want to add a second color here. I think it'll make it look even more dynamic. So instead of it being white, so I'm going to select this row, the outer row, go to the background overlay settings, select that second color, and you can play around with your palette, right? So I can see some colors here that I can play around with and see if that gives it some more character. How about a little darker? It kind of does. It gives a little bit more character there. So that looks really good. Yes, I'm very happy with that. So let's go ahead and click update. And this, before we're totally happy, let's go ahead and look at it on the front end. See how that presents. Yeah, this looks really good. All right, so now that we're done with our opt-in section, we're done with our product section. Now let's go ahead and create a nice footer and then wrap up this tutorial. All right, so to create our footer, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the customizer. So click on customize and then select the footer option from the Kadence options here. And when you select that, this tray will open up for you, and this represents your footer, right? So if we scroll down and get into the viewport, we can be able to see the footer right here. So by default, you're going to have this copyright widget already in there, but there are also several available items that you can utilize as well. And this is in the free version of Kadence, by the way. So there are up to 6 widgets that you can add in, plus a social widget and then footer navigation. So in our case, we're going to be using the footer widgets to create our fat footer. So the first thing I want to do though is I want to configure this copyright section right here. So you can either do that by clicking on the edit pencil right here, or you can click on this setting cogwheel right here. When you click on that, then you come here and you can change out all this information. I just want to add my own information in there. So this may be what you want to add for your company. And then I want to change the sizing, because right now the size of this is actually competing with the main website. So click over to the design tab for this and select the size option. And we're going to reduce this to 14 pixels. Okay, so it's a little bit more subtle. All right, and that looks great. I'm going to go ahead and publish my changes so that they're saved. And now we can actually start working on the fat footer itself. So the way this works is it has 3 rows. You have a top row, a middle row, and a bottom row. We're going to be working with the middle row here. Okay, so go ahead and select that row. And typically when you select this row, by default, you actually add 3 columns. We want 4 columns. So we're going to change this to 4 columns here. And then we're going to start adding our widgets to it. So if you go back to the main general footer settings here, we can just start dragging in widgets. So I'm going to drag in the first widget into the first column, and drag the second one in there, and a third widget in there as well. So what I do is I drag in the widgets first, and then I add content to them afterwards. On the fourth one, I want this to be our social icons. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a social widget and put that in there. Okay, so now the social widget is in there, and if we go to configure this, typically when you add this, it really doesn't have any text initially, but we're going to go ahead and add our text to say follow us. So any one of these will do. And then you can come here and design the icons however way you want. For now, I'm just going to leave these alone. I'm going to leave them exactly the way that they are. I think they're fine for our actual design. It actually looks great. Next, what we want to do here is we want to go ahead and start adding content to these widgets, right? So to be able to do that, for instance, if I click on this cogwheel right here, it now will give me a chance to be able to add blocks, and you can add any number of widget blocks to each widget, right? So same thing with this one, you add blocks, but I don't like to add it here in the customizer because it's just not enough space. The UI here is just a little bit restrictive. So what I want to do is I'm just going to save it for now and leave the widgets empty. And then I'm going to close out of the customizer, and I will then go to the widgets section in the actual WordPress dashboard. So you can just go to the dashboard, go to appearance, click on widgets, and you'll be presented with a much more open user interface to go ahead and add your widgets. Okay, so if you come over here in this theme, you will notice that you have a footer 1, footer 2, footer 3, all the way to footer 6. All these correspond to the widgets items that you added in the footer when you're doing using the footer builder. So all we need to do here is open this up, click on the plus sign, and start adding our content. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a heading. So I use the advanced heading, and we'll call this Clifton Fashion. So this will be the name of our e-commerce store. It's called Clifton Fashion. And then I'm gonna add a second advanced heading, but this one I'm gonna set up to be a paragraph. And then I'm gonna go to my lorem ipsum, grab some text, and then come back to it and add my text there, okay? So now we have the name of the company and then maybe a little brief description. That's what this is supposed to represent. Now I want to configure this. So I'm going to click on this because I know that typically these are pretty big text. And what I want to do is I want the text here that I have here, I want it to be a 16 pixel size in the footer. And then I also want it to be uppercase. So I'm going to select those options. For the actual text itself, I want this text to be 15 pixels, so 1 pixel smaller, and then its current casing is just fine. Excellent. So now I'm going to update this, and I just want to take a brief look on the front end to make sure that everything's lining up correctly before I add the other blocks to the other widget areas. So let's go ahead and take a look at this in a new tab. Okay, and if we scroll down, we can see that, okay, our footer is forming very nicely here. Now, what I'm going to do now is go ahead and add all the other pieces of content to these widget areas. Okay, so we're going to go back to widgets. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to copy what I have here by selecting each one. Holding down the shift key will allow me to select both. So if I select one and I hold down shift and select the other one, now I've got both. I'll open up these options and click on copy. Then I'll come down to the footer widget area here, click on the plus sign and select the paragraph Gutenberg block, press Command V or Control V if you're on a PC, and it will go ahead and paste those two blocks in there for me. Okay, and now I can go ahead and add more content. So a lot of my content is just going to be the same. In this case, we're going to say, we're going to call this quick links. And you'll typically see this on e-commerce website where there are quick links to each category. So we have 5 categories. The first one is new arrival. And then what I'm going to do here is I want the links to my categories to be contained within the same header editor here. So to do that, I'm going to hold down the shift on my keyboard and hit enter. And that will create a new line. Now, if you don't do that and you just hit enter, then you're creating a new block area. So we don't want to do that in this case. We just want to create a new line and add the next category, which is going to be watches, shoes, new line, handbags. So again, press shift and enter. T-shirts. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove the bold from here. All right, now we just need to add the links. So go ahead and select, like, for instance, select the new arrival, click on the link icon here in the short menu, and then do a search for new arrival. Once you start doing this search, it'll pull up the product category link. Click on it, and then repeat those steps for each category. So highlight it, click on the link icon, do a search for that category, and insert it. Oh, nope, that's not the right one. There we go. All right, So now that we're done with that, let's go ahead and create the third widget area. So I'm going to select both of these again, copy, go to the footer widget area, click inside the area, select the paragraph Gutenberg block, and then press Command V. And now we have another set of links. So these links are going to be for our clients. So we'll just call these just for you as a title. And then we add a bunch of benefits here. So we could say buy a gift card. Okay. Another thing that we could have is we could have specials and sales. We can have access your account. We can have earned rewards. So maybe you offer rewards. And we can also have a wish list. Okay. Excellent. And that's it for now. Remember, our fourth footer actually contains our social media icons, which we pulled from the widget on the front end. So now that we've added all this, let's go ahead and update it. And then let's check it out on the front end. Refresh this. And so here we go. So here's our footer, and this is actually coming together really nicely. So we do have some more customizations to do here. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to go here to the customizer, and I'm going to select the footer. And let's just pull this into the viewport so we can see. All right, so what we need to do now is we need to create some spacing for the main row, and we also need to create some better spacing between each column. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the middle row settings, and we're going to scroll down here to where we have the column spacing, and I want to increase this to 120. Okay, so now that creates some really nice spacing between every column here. All right, in terms of the widget spacing itself, I can go ahead and zero this out so that it's bringing everything closer to each other. And then for the top spacing, this is in regards to the row itself. So for the top spacing, we're going to also make this 120 pixels. And the bottom spacing, we're going to leave as is. That's fine. And then for this row right here, where we have our copyright, let's go ahead and select that row. You can select it here, or we can select it here. All right. And what I want to do in this one is I'd like to reduce the spacing a little bit up there. So I'm just going to make the top spacing. We're going to pull this down to 20. And then under the design, we're going to add a border to the top, just a very, very light border. And the way you do that is you come down here. So in the design options, so this is the general options. This is the design options. You come down here, and we're going to click on the X, make the border a line. We want this to be 1 pixel. So this is the top border, right? We're going to select that, and we're going to use 6 E's. So E 6 times to create a nice little border there. Okay, so it creates some separation. All right, now that looks really good. Now the other thing that I want to do is this coloring is a little bit too harsh, right? So again, it's going to be competing with the coloring that we have on our main pages, on main page content. So I'm going to go back to the middle row, go to the design, and under design, I get to control the color of the content, right? So I'm going to change the widget content coloring here. So select the color, and I want it to be a little bit lighter, and that looks good. We're also going to do it for the link colors, because you notice it happened for the main text, but it didn't happen for any of the links. So the link colors will adopt the same color, okay? And maybe upon hover, we'll make it darker. All right, that looks good. Okay, so now our footer is pretty much set. So let's take a look at how the whole thing looks on the front end. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this. And let's close that out. And when we scroll down our beautiful e-commerce website here, we now have a nice footer. that's nicely separated. What's also cool is if you take a look at the footer on other pages, right? So if we go, for instance, to this watches pages, we can see here that the footer is separated from everything else. So this looks really good. So up next, what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and do some housekeeping work on it, meaning just tidying up a few things that we created and making sure that everything looks really good. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So firstly, what we would like to do is let's take a look at some of the actual WooCommerce pages. So when you first install WooCommerce, if we go to pages right now, you'll see that WooCommerce actually adds some pages to the website for you. For instance, you have a cart page. And if we view this page right now, you'll see that we have the cart page. It's got a title and this light background, right? If you go to any of the category pages, you'll also notice that they have this light background as well. And if you go to any of the product pages, you'll notice that we have our breadcrumbs here and our title here. And we already customized this page earlier on. So everything's looks really good, but there are a few things that we can do to really make this pop, make it a lot better. And that's what I would like for us to do right now. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that my category pages have enough contrast to them, right? So it's very clear that you're on a category page and you're on the right category page. So the first thing that I want to do here is I would want to create some contrast between the title and the main content. To be able to do that, just go to Customize, and we're going to go to WooCommerce, and we're going to go to Product Catalog. When you click on that, this will allow us to be able to make changes to archive pages within WooCommerce. So right now we want to make changes to the title area, right? So I'm going to click over to Design, and I want my title color to be a light color, and I want the background to be a dark color, like so. Okay, so you can see this looks a lot better. Okay, let's go ahead and publish that. Okay, then up next, let's take a look at the cart page. Okay, so I'm going to close out of this, and if we go to the cart, we have an item in the cart already. So if you notice that the cart has this light color as well. And if we proceed to checkout, the checkout page also has the same thing. So we kind of want this to all match. So to be able to change this, one thing to keep in mind about the cart page and the checkout page is that these are actually shortcodes embedded in an actual page. And that's why if you go to your customizer and you go to the WooCommerce options, for instance, so let's go to WooCommerce, you will notice that there's no cart customization options here. And also, even if you went to the checkout page, for instance, it's not for you to customize the design. It's more for you to customize which fields are available and so on. So what we want to do is we want to change that. And the way you do that is you do that actually in page layout. So we're going to click through the page layout, click on design, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the product catalog pages, right? So we're going to set the background to be a dark background, and we're going to set the text to be a light text, just like that, and publish. And so now you'll notice when we go to our cart page, it now looks uniform with the category pages as well. Okay, so all right, let's check that out now. All right, and that looks good. Okay, so now our website actually looks pretty nice. If we go to the home page here, we have all our products nicely put with our opt-in, and our footer is built, our header is built, and our cart pages and category pages all look great. So the next thing that we need to do now is what about our checkout, right? So you notice when you go to the checkout, you'll see here that it says, sorry, it seems that there are no available payment methods for your state. So this is happening because we have not added our credentials to accept credit cards. There's a couple of ways you can do it. WooCommerce has a number of payment gateways that are available, including their own payment gateway. So you would have to make that decision. And the place you go to set that up, if you go here to Dashboard and you go to WooCommerce and you go to Settings and we go to Payments, this is where you will set all that up, okay? So you can choose to have WooCommerce payments, Stripe payments, PayPal, and there's even more options. The one that I use and I recommend is Stripe payments. I've never tried WooCommerce payments. It's pretty new, but I think it's very similar to Stripe payments. Okay. So if you want to do Stripe payments, there's a couple of ways to do it. If you click on Get Started,
you have to first make sure that you have a Stripe account. And if you go to stripe.com, you can go ahead and create an account. It's free. They do make you, they do have you go through a qualification process. It's nothing where you have to qualify for anything. It's just that you have to put in your information, your banking information, and things like that. So, but go ahead and sign up, and then you would get something called API keys to integrate with. So this is what it looks like on the inside, and you would click on the developers tab here, and then there are API keys. So once you click through the API keys, there are a couple of keys that you will get, and once you get that, you can then accept live payments on your website. So the choice is completely yours to be able to do so, and it's a pretty self-explanatory to go through. But I do want to show you a manual way of doing it in case you do have a Stripe account and you want to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Get Started here on the Stripe payments, and it's going to ask you to create or connect an account. So I'm already logged into my account, and this is an automated way of doing it, but I'm not going to do this because I want to show you the manual way. So right when it gets to this place, it says right here, enter account keys. So I've already grabbed my account keys. So I want to do this manually. So you click on enter account keys, and then you have the option of entering live keys or test keys. So I'm going to go ahead and add my live keys and my test keys. Okay. Okay, so once you've entered your keys, then you have to enter a webhook secret. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. Just go ahead and save these keys for now. And what'll happen is it'll take you to this section here. And when you enable Stripe, right, you can enable Stripe and we can enable test mode. You'll see here that your payments are enabled, deposits are enabled, but your webhook is not enabled. And that means you have to create a webhook, okay? And let's just quickly go over how to do that because this is important, especially if you're using Stripe. So just go ahead and copy this right here. So you see right here, this this link, okay? And then you're gonna go to your webhooks section of your page here. So when you first log in here and you go to developers, just the same place you get your API keys, click on webhooks, and you'll see this right here. It asks you to add an endpoint. So just go ahead and click on that, and we're gonna paste that right here. Whoops, that's not what we want. Let's go back, make sure that I've copied this. And in your Stripe account, go ahead and paste that webhook there. And the description is optional. I'm not gonna put that in there. And then the other thing that you want to do is you want to click on select events that you want it to listen for, right? So if you want to know what this does right here, it will enable you to receive notifications on the charge statuses. So when people pay with their credit card, you get notifications on whether it went through, it got declined, or what have you. And it's very important to have. So now we're going to come here back to your webhooks here, and it's listening for these events. Click on select events, and really we want all the events. So I'm going to click on select all events, add events. Okay, so all these events have been added, and then add endpoint. Oops, wait, actually, let's make sure we have this here. Okay, great. And then click on add endpoint at the bottom. All right, so now we've gone ahead and created a webhook for ourselves here, okay? So now to get the webhook, you have to reveal it, right? So we're gonna go ahead and just reveal it for this one. There it is right there. I'm gonna go ahead and copy that. And then I'm going to come back here and click on edit account keys, and this was done in a live one, so we're going to go ahead and paste that there and then save. All right, and then you can also do the same thing for the test one. So just go through the same process in your test mode, right? So you can set up a test mode right here. So this is test mode. And now you'll be in test mode for that. And we want to view all items in test mode. And you go through the same process. Add all the endpoints. We can come back here. Let's cancel out of that. Grab this link. You always want to have a test mode and a live mode. That way you can test your store, make sure that it works. Same thing, paste the URL, select the events, select all the events, and then scroll all the way down, add events. Add endpoints. Grab your citing secret, which is right there. And then you can put it back to your live mode once you're done. If you're live mode. Come back to your site under the settings, click on edit account keys, and under the test webhook secret, you're going to go ahead and paste that in there. Save keys. All right. And so now my Stripe is now set up. Okay. So when I go back to my site and I go to the cart, proceed to checkout. Oh wait, there is one more thing I have to do. Dashboard. We have to actually turn it on. So go to WooCommerce, go to settings, go to payments, and you see right here it's off. It's not enabled, right? So we're going to turn it on. And now it's on. Okay. Save changes. Just remember to save the changes after you do that. Now when we go back and we go to the checkout, here it is, right? Our credit card is ready for processing. And with that, I'm going to be ending it here. That will conclude the build out of the e-commerce website using the free version of Kadence and Gutenberg, and building out this really nice site. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to post that in the comments below. If you're here for the first time checking me out, I appreciate you watching the video. Please remember to subscribe because I have more tutorials like this that are coming out. Go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can be notified when I release those tutorials. Also remember, if you're trying to follow along with this tutorial, if you were following along, in the description below, you will find links to all the images that I used and anything else that I needed to build out this website. In the next tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at this very same website with some Kadence Pro enhancements. So if you don't have the Kadence Pro version of Kadence, go ahead and pick that up, and you can use my link to be able to do that if you want to support the channel. It is an affiliate link, and I do get a small commission for you doing that, but it doesn't affect the price that you pay. And if you have done that, then I appreciate you. Thank you very much. And once again, thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I will see you in the next video.